Yuji Itadori had just woken up inside a room covered with many charms, and the person sitting in front of him was the teacher Satoru Gojo of the magic school. Yuji was still confused and didn't understand why he was tied up here when Gojo informed him of the sad news that his death sentence had been decided. So what happened to this pink-haired young man? Back to a few days ago, Yuji was still calling the hospital to ask about his grandfather's condition. But his grandfather was not happy at all and immediately yelled at his grandson to stop calling, and according to his grandfather, Yuji should go to club activities and not worry about him. That evening, Gojo asked a young man named Megumi to check on a cursed object that was being preserved, but when he opened the meteorological tent, the cursed object had escaped somewhere. Megumi immediately called to inform Gojo that he thought Gojo would be responsible for finding, but he made Megumi do his part instead, making Megumi very angry, and he swore that when he returned to school, he would punch this teacher a few times. The next morning, Yuji returned to the school's occult club to hang out with his seniors. They said hang out, but they spent all day playing Ouija and laughing with each other like a bunch of idiots. Seeing that this club was too useless, the student council president suggested that the three of them disband, and this room would be used as the locker room for the track and field club. However, they disobeyed and immediately told about the achievements of the occult club, such as how they had investigated a spirit that was haunting the rugby players, causing them to lose their physical strength. However, according to the president, the school's football field had a lot of ticks, so anyone who was bitten by it would get a fever. There were no ghosts there, and he also knew that Yuji originally belonged to the track and field club, not part of this stupid occult club. After listening, the seniors thought Yuji was playing a double game, joining both clubs at the same time. But it turned out that the athletics advisor had revised Yuji's application because he knew Yuji had an extraordinary physique, so he wanted to have Yuji to win the National Athletics Championship. But Yuji still disobeyed, so the teacher challenged him. If Yuji lost, he would have to obediently join the athletics club. Meanwhile, Megumi was still diligently searching for the cursed object according to Gojo's orders, and when he passed by the soccer field, he saw a cursed being affected by this object, proving that it was very close here and not somewhere else. At that moment, Yuji's match with the teacher had already started, so Megumi stopped to watch, and the sport they used to compete in was shot put. Because he was a world record holder in the sport, the teacher was very proud believing he would win. However, Yuji only needed to throw it lightly, and the weight flew 30 meters away, causing the goal to cave in. The teacher saw it and was surprised, not expecting his record to be broken so easily. The seniors thought that Yuji would be more suitable for physical clubs than spiritual ones, but because he was very interested in the occult, Yuji had to join the occult club. Megumi thought that a person without a curse like Yuji being so strong was indeed rare. But when Yuji just ran past, Megumi recognized the cursed energy on this young man. But because Yuji ran too fast, Megumi could not keep up. As soon as he left school, Yuji went to the hospital to visit his grandfather. Feeling that he was about to go far away, his grandfather wanted to tell Yuji more about his parents, but Yuji thought that it was too long and did not want to hear. So his grandfather could only tell Yuji that he had a very great power, so use it to try to save as many people as possible. Yuji didn't understand what his grandfather meant, but when he asked again, but his grandfather didn't say anything more. It turned out that those were his last words, and his grandfather had already passed away. Although he was very heartbroken, Yuji still had to go down to do the last procedures of the hospital. At this moment, Megumi arrived with a very tense face. He said that Yuji was holding a cursed object. Extremely dangerous. Megumi showed the photo to Yuji. Yuji recognized it as soon as he saw it, and said that he had picked it up before. But Yuji still wondered how dangerous this inanimate object was. Megumi began to explain that in Japan, there were many mysterious deaths caused by curses, and the origin of the curses was the negative emotions inside people. So in schools and hospitals, they used cursed objects to seal them away the curse, but over time the seal will gradually weaken, leading to the curse being released and attracting more curses. The thing that Yuji picked up was an extremely dangerous cursed object, a special grade cursed object. So in order to save his life, Yuji had to hand it over to Megumi, but Yuji said that he had already handed over this cursed object to the seniors in the club, and they decided to remove its seal right at school tonight. In the club meeting room at this time, the two were curious about what was inside. When they removed all the papers wrapped around it, it was a human finger that was still intact. At that moment, the candles in the room immediately went out, and the curses escaped outside. Yuji and Megumi were running as fast as they could to the school. When they arrived, They both felt a huge pressure radiating from inside. Megumi immediately told Yuji to wait outside, because someone without a curse like Yuji couldn't fight them. The two students were still hiding from the monster's words curses all around. But how can one escape when there are so many of them, and they are dangerous? Megumi has now run inside and summoned the divine dogs to be ready to fight. While outside, Yuji is wondering whether to go inside or not, when the two seniors he just met are in danger of their lives. And when he remembers the words of his grandfather before he died, Yuji has made a decision for himself. Megumi and the divine dogs have destroyed many curses, but they still keep increasing, and right in front of him, the curses are trying to swallow Yuji's two friends, while Megumi doesn't know how to save them. At that moment, Yuji has broken the door and rushed in, then turned in the air and punched the cursed monster to save the two seniors of the club. Megumi took this opportunity to finish off the monster and turned it into dinner for his divine dogs. The cursed object that Megumi was looking for fell from the girl's body sword, and he told Yuji that this was Ryaman Sukuna's finger. If the curse eats this, it will receive a lot of magical power. At that moment a huge curse appeared, so Megumi immediately pushed Yuji out, and Megumi was caught in the palm of the monster's hand and thrown straight into the wall. Not stopping there, it also used its strength to finish Megumi off, causing the school wall to be destroyed. Although his life was in danger, Megumi still reminded Yuji to take the two injured people first. But Yuji couldn't leave Megumi alone, so he used his taijutsu to fight this curse. According to Megumi, only a curse could cleanse the curse. So no matter how much Yuji fought, he couldn't defeat it. And Yuji was also punched without missing a beat, causing Sukuna's finger to fly into the air. But Yuji still tried to hold on to it. Even though he was about to become food for this cursed object, Yuji remembered Megumi's words that if he ate this cursed object, there would be a lot of power. So Yuji didn't think much, immediately swallowed Sukuna's finger into his stomach. The power inside Yuji exploded, so he easily escaped from the monster's two arms, and with just one move Yuji gently finished it off in front of Megumi's surprised eyes. But in fact Yuji's body at this time was controlled by the king of the cursed Sukuna. He had a crazy smile and still wanted to dominate humanity in this era. But the smile didn't last long when Yuji moved his hand again and gently reminded Sukuna to return his body to him, making Sukuna very surprised because Yuji was dominating him inside this body. Megumi thought that Yuji was no longer human, so she would purify him right here. In fact, Yuji not only got his body back, but also wanted to Megumi asked to go to the hospital, because both of them were injured, making Megumi very hesitant about whether to attack Yuji or not.